just talk briefly about, I guess, one of the main reasons why each of you have become noticed. And so Tu, do you want to talk about how that came about?
It came about because I went to art school, and then when you're done with art school, you want to get a solo show. That's like the big thing, you know, like you want to get a solo gallery show. So I got that at the Sculpture Center in Cleveland. So I was like super psyched and then super nervous too, because then I had like 6 months to put together like a body of work. So in school I was making a lot of like sculptural installation and things like that. So the installations were kind of becoming more and more like environmental, where they basically just became like sets. And what I hated about making that kind of art is I don't have anywhere to store it. So I kind of resolved that I can make a video and I can throw it away, like throw the art away once I was done making it, and I'd have the video and that would be the final art piece. So I started, but if I was gonna go through the trouble of making a video, I should make it cool. But if and I was like really like kind of like nervous about that, and I had one of my friends who had a background in theater help me script the first one, and it wasn't even scripted because I was just like I have to memorize this, you know. And he was all like, well, yeah, you know. And I was like, and there was some parts where like when I watched like the early stuff, like there was like some parts where like he was like feeding me lines, you know, and it and I could tell it's like that looks so phony, you know. So then after that I was just like, fuck that, I just want an outline. I just want an outline. This scripting is so stressful, you know. I just want like a list. So we put a list together of like things that would happen. So a lot of like the YouTube food party stuff is like a lot of it is kind of like improvised, but it's only to some extent. And then after that, we were doing it for gallery shows. And after we got done with the first one, we built this like huge set in my friend's studio. And it was only $75 a month in Cleveland. And it was like this huge studio where we built this enormous set, and it was like still up. And I was like, oh, let's just shoot another one, you know. But the first one, I like the idea of like celebrity guests, but we obviously can't afford that, so we just like use a cardboard cutout, and I'm actually not a fan of LeBron James anymore, so it's a little bit embarrassing for me to look at that again too. Yeah, he blows. Anyway, so after that, so like to make a long story less long, we put it up on the internet, and like YouTube was getting big, and then someone found us on the internet, and I will never forget the day that my friend called me because he saw it on this New York Magazine thing, and it just said, "World's strangest, weirdest, best cooking show found on the internet," and it was me, and it was cool. And then like a couple weeks later, we got a phone call from IFC. No, it was not a phone call because they would not be able to find my phone number on the internet. So they emailed me, and then I met them, and the rest is history.
So you actually, like you said, it started off as an art piece, and then that form evolved, and your personality, I guess, is what really glues that show together.
I guess so, yeah. So.
And is that a persona, or do you believe that's you?
I would like to believe it's me, but it's weird though, because I do kind of like have a persona, I guess, when I am on camera, because I just like talk louder, you know. So if I'm like talking to you normally, I'll talk at you know like ears length volume or whatever, but otherwise. On camera, I'm very nervous. I'm overcompensating. I don't know, but it's me. Otherwise,
So then, do you think it has essentially evolved, right? From where
yeah,
it was?
it's evolved quite a bit. Yeah,
Okay.
from how it started.
Okay, and then has it evolved after your, I guess, your understanding of the reach that it had, or was it? How did that evolution?
Well, a lot of it had to do with craft because when I still like worked with like the same group of friends that like I started with when we started, and we all like went to art school together, and I think only one of us studied photography, you know, so which isn't even film, and wait, it is, but yeah, but he like we were like not really filmmakers. And we knew how to make art, you know, because I know what a TV show looks like, so I could make something that looks like a TV show, and I was like confident in that. And then like as we made more, we always like were very critical, you know, of like the product, and we're like, well, we can improve on that, we can improve on that, we can improve on that. So that's kind of like how it would evolve. Is like we would kind of like just always want to like make it better. That's it.
Okay. So then, thank you. Let's move on to Ali. So, one of the things that you're really well known for is your stand-up, and your stand-up is very honest, and it's very truthful, and it's somewhat painful, I guess. Especially as another Asian person watching it, it's very painfully true. So I wanted to quickly ask you. How did that evolve, and to where you are now, where you know where your comedy is speaking, where that's coming from, and from you know what were the stages for you to get there?
Well, I think I always like the comics I admire are the ones, not the ones who tell like short jokes that are just one sentence long. That you know, like there's a comic in San Francisco who's really funny, and he tells jokes like, oh, you know, I finally found a way to smuggle drugs at the airport. I hide them in my bloodstream. And he tells like really funny short one-liners like that, right? Or, you know, and I have like maybe one-liner, and it's like, oh, to all the Asian people here, here's some advice. Never go paintballing with a Vietnam veteran. And that's like my one-liner. But like otherwise, like I always admired.
So wrong.
It's so wrong, but it's so true. And that actually came from when I was like in 4th grade, and I got invited to a birthday party where it was a paintballing party, and the dad of the daughter was a Vietnam vet, and my parents were like, "Do not go to that party." And they were like, send her a Barbie and grab a party favor bag and then pretend you're sick. So I always like the headliners who tell like much longer stories about human relationships, and but from like a very personal point of view, but tell some sort of speak to some sort of like grander truth that we can all identify with. So I think all, you know, art does that. It does something that's very personal, very specific from a unique point of view, but that speaks somehow to a greater truth. So I always strive to do that because, you know, the comics I admire are like Louis C.K. and this guy Patrice O'Neill. I really like Eddie Murphy too, but I never wanted to be one of those comics who tell one-liner jokes. So it came from that, and I don't know, I just grew up in this family that was like, we always had like really raunchy humor. You know, like my parents were really open with me about sex and everything when I was really young, so I was never ashamed to talk about that. And sex is really funny because everybody has it, everybody has to go through it, and it's just like, it's a funny thing to like, everybody has genitalia, and it's hilarious. I mean, there's like endless things. Like it's like one of those things I could just talk about forever. Like I just started like I didn't realize like porn is really amazing, and like women haven't discovered porn until like they're late. All the women here, if you haven't discovered porn yet, it won't give you a virus. There's lots. there's lots of free sites on the internet now where you can just, it's so easy. It's not like back in the day where it was like click, 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 and it was all like scary and weird, and like porn is like fascinating. Anyways, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, you've kind of gone somewhere over here, which is fascinating.
This is not a porn panel. This is a comedy panel.
But it's becoming one, which is great.
But I could talk like, so I don't know. I'm just like I don't know why I naturally always gravitate towards
Porn
and sex stuff. But it's always about human relationships. And then with like the Asian stuff, you know, I guess it's just what is. It's like it's just what I know, and it's what's funny to me. Like. I'm trying to buy a car now, and I'm trying to ask my friends my age for buying car advice, and no Asian person our age who's like 28 has ever bought a car for themselves.
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Well, that's because you a superstar. That's because you a movie star. But like for everybody else, it's like, oh, it's my parents' old Honda Accord that they passed down to me. That they like, you know.
You only say that because you know I have a Honda
That's
Accord.
true. But it's like, or my parents helped me put like a down payment on it, and they went with me to the dealership because all like Asian parents, that's what they give us a car to make up for the emotional abuse that they put us through. And it's, you know, I mean, the Asian jokes that I do tell, like, I don't feel, like, I feel like the funniest ones only Asian people get because there is something very funny. There's something so serious about the Asian American experience that deserves to be mocked.
I think it's called an experience. And that's
Yeah.
rather wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
As an American experience.
Experience. The
Experience.
Michael Jackson show. Yeah.
So, but porn.
Yeah.
That's all I want to say. No, so are you, what generation are you?
Well, my mom was born in Vietnam, and then my dad's parents were born in China, but my dad was born here.
Okay. Do you think that has, you seem to have, you know, a combination of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that speaks, does that feed into your comedy or in your point of view?
I think so. Maybe in like in a way that, you know, my parents are very traditional with modern sensibilities, and then I'm kind of the same way too, where it's like, you know, I think, you know, when I tell this story about how when my boyfriend, he goes to Harvard Business School, and when he met my mom, he brought her 2 oranges. I know. It's like,
What?
I know. I was like, you put those back in your backpack. I was like, you can't give my mom 2 oranges unless you get down on your knees and present them like this. He was like, but they're organic. I was like, she don't care. Pesticides are a myth to immigrants. They're a myth. Pesticides, homosexuality, and allergies are witchcraft to immigrants. I told my mom I was allergic to dairy, and she beat the shit out of me. So, she's like, you quit your lying ass. But you know, so like I think, you know, like I think that for like I think when someone comes over to my house that they should pay. Like I think, you know, I should be able to have sex with as many people as I want before I get married without being judged. But I still think that when we go out on a date, that a man should pay. Because it's convenient.
I was just thinking about a really fucked up story. My mom about like guys paying on dates, and I was actually out with my boyfriend at the time, and my mom just calls me randomly. Me and him just got out of a restaurant because we got done eating on a date, and my mom just calls me, and she's all like, "Hi, To," and I was like, "Hi, Ma," and then she's just like, "What are you doing?" And I'm just like, "Oh, I'm coming out of eating dinner, you know, with my boyfriend." And she was like, "Oh, boyfriend, he pay, you know?" And then I was like, "Well, I paid for my meal, he paid for his meal." And then she's like, "Oh." And then she made this really amazing analogy. She said, you know, a guy is like a car. If you fill the car with premium gas, it gets used to the premium gas. You can't fill it with regular gas anymore. And you are filling your mana with premium gas. And he was like, you can't do that. And I'm all
Yeah,
like,
you gotta treat them like shit. So you can only go up from there. That's manipulation 101.
yeah.
Just itching mark
Asian
treatment.
style.
Yeah.
She schooled me because like I was pumping him up with premium gas,
You
and
were.
she was like, "You gotta give him regular gas, and he needs to earn the premium gas."
Yeah.
And on
You need to
special
give him
occasions.
vegetable oil.
Oh my God! Wow. Okay.
So I get, I mean, so in that sense, like that teetering between like tradition and like, you know, modernity, is that how we pronounce it? Yeah. That I think that is very influenced by my parents.
Okay. Then Anisha.
Yes.
Everyone knows her from Outsourced. Woo! But people may not also know that you went to NYU, right?
Yes,
And
I
then
did.
you were in Bombay Dreams.
Yeah, I booked Bombay Dreams when I was in my sophomore year at NYU, and I actually still have 4 classes that I
Are you
have
serious?
yet to take at NYU. So
Wow. Okay.
it's a big bone of contention with my folks. Let's just say, no, they're very supportive. But
And then how did you, I guess, go down the line of, I guess being an actor and then going off to NYU and then going on to Bombay Dreams and Outsourced? How did that all kind of?
Well, I really enjoyed performing. I was in like every high school production, every middle school production that my schools had, and so I decided. Actually, I played the piano from the time I was really little, from the time I was 3, and so when I was applying to colleges, it was kind of a tough decision because I didn't know whether I wanted to major in piano or go off and be an actress. And
So you knew from being in high school, you knew that these
Yeah.
were the choices for you.
yeah, I
Okay.
was artistically inclined. And I remember my dad having a conversation with me. He sat down and he's like, okay, I know you. And you are not the type of person to sit in a practice room all day by yourself. You need to be with people. And that actually like struck a chord with me because I am a very social person. Is that a weird thing to say? No, I like to hang out with people, and just imagining myself in a practice room by myself going like this all day kind of felt inane. So I decided not to do that, and I went to NYU for drama. And then I booked Bombay Dreams when I was a sophomore, and it was bye-bye NYU, and that's why I have 4 classes left.
So then your parents were supportive of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were, I mean, since I was working,
Okay.
They were very
so,
happy.
to pay your rent, yes.
they were very happy. And they've always been, my mom is really like artistic and she sings and I had a very interesting upbringing where on road trips my parents would listen to Shakespeare like
Wow.
on tape. And then my mom and dad would enact it with each other. And that somewhere it stuck,
amazing.
I guess. It was very interesting.
That's amazing. So then, can you quickly talk about your experience of going on to Outsource and what that has meant? I guess, you know, there's been a lot of criticism about the show, but there's also been a lot of praise.
Yeah.
So one goes with the other, and where...
Right. I mean, I feel like anytime you're doing, especially because of our title, we've gotten so much heat and so much crap. And I actually, the thing that that NBC has been telling us to say is that it's a point of departure, which is so true. The title is a point of departure, and it's what takes us to India, so that we can meet these weird, funny people that are actually just like us.
How do you feel about playing in the comedy world? How do you feel about playing the role that you do, and having had the experience that you have had, you know, growing up with parents that listen to Shakespeare and then reenact that? you know, how does that influence your work or your decisions and choices?
Well, I definitely derive a lot of how I play my character from family members and from friends. I actually lived in India for a year growing up and went to boarding school, and some of the characters, it's just like, there was, actually, I'm mirroring Madhuri after a girl that I went to school with in India, and she was this very, very quiet, like absolutely would not speak a word to anybody, but always for I don't know how, because she didn't say a word in class and she didn't talk to anyone. She always had the highest marks, like in the class. And one day I was like, I want to know how she does it. So I went up to her and I like asked her if I could see her notebook, and there was not a part of that book that wasn't covered. I mean, it was her math notebook. It looked like Albert Einstein had been like puking all over it. Like I could not, you know, understand anything, let alone like understand how she was able to take all those notes. Especially when the teachers, like, our math teacher had the worst BO. Wear these thick.
I think they all do. All math teachers do, really.
These thick silk saris, and just, I sat in the front of the class, and I always wore a sweatshirt in that class because she would spit too. She would like spit.
Wow.
She's like, okay, now we are going to learn what x plus y equals, and spit all over you. And so I had my hood, and it was good. That was, yeah. So
that was a great experience for you then. I mean, your parents were, what generation are you?
I was born in Evanston, Illinois. My parents were both born in South India.
Okay, and so I guess that experience of you going back to India really has helped you.
Absolutely.
You know, to really ground yourself. You know, that's something that I feel people ask me about all the time. How do I feel about playing a character that has an accent or what have you? But people do. I mean, you know, like, and by going to the country and actually experiencing three-dimensional people that have walked in those shoes, you are then able to stand firmly and, you know, go to the grave saying, no, I play this character three-dimensionally.
Absolutely.
Right. So that, further to, I want to ask you then, do you feel that, I mean, we've got to, I guess, bring up the race issue at this point. So what, how has that played or influenced you in, you know, you grow up in this world in high school and what have you, that, and clearly a very supportive family, that, you know, you can be anything, you can do anything, they can play Shakespeare in the car and play all the characters, and then suddenly then you go into school, which is a very nurturing experience, but then you're walked out into the world. How has that played somewhat of a...
Well, my husband and I actually have this running joke. When he was in...
Is he Indian too? Or no?
Yeah, he's Indian as well. And when he was in elementary school, I think he got on the bus, and it was his first day at like a new school after coming back from living in India.
Oh, he was born in...
No, he wasn't born in India, but he lived there when he was like 7 and 8.
Okay.
And when he got on the bus in the new school, one of the kids was really mean and said, "Get off the bus, Gandhi!" And later on, he's like, if that's the worst insult I'm ever gonna get, that's pretty good. So I mean, like that. I mean, I feel like that pretty much sums it up. You know, you take everything with a grain of salt, you'll be all right.
Right.
There you go.
And so, but you have been very fortunate to have had the experience, and it's very timely. You know, you're a beautiful lady in your going through school and of that age, and suddenly Bombay Dreams happens. You know, I mean, that's a huge step.
Yeah.
You know, so when you look back at people that perhaps have inspired you, that, you know, we all walk on someone else's shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Is there someone that you know, are walking on their shoulders, or do you feel that or no?
Oh, absolutely. I definitely feel like I said before, my mom is she's a very artistically inclined person, and she used to sit with me at my piano lessons every day and like come home, and like she would kind of be learning to play as I was learning. And I feel like because of her enthusiasm and real dedication to my love for the arts, I've really been able to blossom because of that. I think it's definitely because of them.